as John kindly said, I'm been clerk at Wolverton Greenleys for about 2 years. Prior to that, I was clerk in Oney, and for a couple of years. So I'm quite new to town clerking. And when I arrived in Wolverton, we had a situation where Wolverton and Greenleys is composed of about 5 different separate areas from building point of view, but only Wolverton seemed to have a voice in the council and only received the services in the council. And if you look at our area on a map, we serve about 12,500 people, and there's we call them grid squares in Milton Keynes, but it's basically an estate. Greenleys was built about 50 years ago. Hodgley a little bit later, late 80s. Stacey Bushes again, probably 40 years ago. And Stonebridge isn't actually a residential area, but it's a commercial area, but we do make links with them. Wolverton itself has got some very old parts, an area that is old Wolverton, it's called Slated Row, but basically it's got a lot of 300-400-year-old houses, and a very old church. Wolverton Mill is a little bit newer, probably 1700s, and then Wolverton Town, which began as Wolverton Station, was the first Victorian railway town, and it dates back to 1838 onwards until about 1903. I think the last houses were built, and that means that we've got Wolverton that is Victorian terraces. If you know Swindon or Nelson in Lancashire and anywhere like that, they are all built on the footprint of Wolverton, because we were the first town. But it does mean that we have a real difficulty in persuading the rest of the parish to think that they actually belong to the parish, which is quite tricky. And we know that our purpose is to represent the whole community and not just part of it. The design of the more modern residential areas really doesn't provide a sense of community. They are estates with one massive road with artery roads off them. It's really not helpful. So how we wanted to reach out was to have a positive focus on our community. We started it with a survey which went out to every household. Very open questions. What do you like about your community? What could be improved? And what don't you like about your community? And from that, we had a very strong voice saying that youth provision wasn't there. And as I think Lynn said, youth provision has gone from Milton Keynes. We had lots of youth centres, and it was decided by Milton Keynes Council that they were no longer appropriate for young people. So they closed them, but they didn't replace them. We were a bit concerned because councillors said, will anything that we do make a difference? Well, we think yes. We knew we didn't have much of a budget. We certainly didn't have the time, and very little resource. And frankly, we didn't know where to start because, you know, I'm old. I haven't got a clue what young people want to do. And most of our counsellors haven't got a clue what our young people would like. So we started with a community youth council. And I have to say, I was absolutely astonished when we managed to get 10 young people to join the youth council. They meet twice a month in our council chambers. And I have to say that they are more active than our adult counsellors. In fact, they put our adult counsellors to shame. They have their own budget, but they're incredibly frugal with it. And they decide on their own projects and what they think we ought to work on as a council. And the youth council is fully supported by Wolverton Greenleys Town Council. So if they come up with an idea, we present that to full council, and 9 times out of 10, they agree it. We based the Community Youth Council on the 6 principles for good youth services and our services as well. It has to be youth-led. It can't be anything else. You know, we are, well, certainly I am. I'm so far away from being a young person. It just shouldn't be led by us. Inclusivity, inequality, and diversity. We are a very diverse community. We have pockets of quite educated, well-to-do middle-class people. We have a lot of people who are not university educated, and quite a few of them will have left school at 15 or 16. We have a learning disability special needs school in our area, and we actively encourage some of our youth counsellors to come from that school. Respect is the other thing that we are very clear that not only should they respect each other, but that we respect that if they want to have any service that is only for them, then that should be for them, and they should decide who visits, or if nobody visits at all. We're very clear that we want quality, safeguarding, and where we employ or engage businesses or communities to provide services, we're very careful to make sure that they've got the right training and so forth. And there's also a big kick around empowering the young people to understand and learn about their community and then make decisions about what happens in their community. And wherever possible, we are positive about what they do. And I have to say, you know, they really have worked wonders. The things that we've done, the little posters there, there are a lot of things that the Youth Council decided to do. But we started with the lounge, and I'll talk a bit about that later. But that is the key to everything else. From that has spawned the other things that we've got going. So at Christmas, I'm sure you all got post-COVID help businesses funding, and the young people decided that we'd buy a shed load of baubles and put numbers on them and put them in the shop windows, and a competition for young people to collect the numbers and get a prize. And the prizes, for the most part, were given by the shops, and the shops were very much on board for this. We're doing it again this year, because it means that the young children drag their parents around every shop in the town. Similarly, we did something at Easter, and I think there were posters with Easter eggs on. They weren't actual Easter eggs, in the windows with letters on, and anybody that could spell Happy Easter out of the letters got an Easter egg. And we bought those Easter eggs, I think, from Tesco's or somewhere. There are other shops available. And that came out of their budget. It's what they chose to do. We got some money from the Police and Crime Commissioner to fund a boxing club. That's a community interest company called Boxing Clever, and that's intended as a distraction technique, but is also an offer for young people, because most boxing clubs are paid for. It's free for all the young people that go to that. The gymnastics club is in Stacey Bushes, which is quite low on the stakes in terms of having high incomes or education and so forth, and the young children there don't get much in the way of opportunities. So the gymnastics club is there, and again we've used a not-for-profit gymnastics company. The summer play sessions, we have a preschool play association in Milton Keynes, and we've engaged them to do preschool, to do holiday play sessions. We've also engaged them to do craft sessions on a monthly basis, particularly in Stacey Bushes and Hodgeley, because those are areas where parents don't get those opportunities to give to their children. We had a member of the public say, "Why don't you have a writing competition?" And we thought, good idea. We have a writing competition. Our library is situated in our town hall building, so our librarian and a couple of our counsellors judge the writing competition, and it's a regular thing. It goes in tandem with our newsletter, and so the winning story or poem goes into the next newsletter, but also the young person gets a book as a prize. The open air cinemas was again from using the grant for opening up the shops and businesses in the town, and the young people made a video that was kind of the, if you remember the Pearl and Dean adverts at the beginning of the cinema, when you went on a Saturday morning, it's the same kind of thing, but the young people put that together, and John's going to play that at the end of the presentation. Now, I said about the lounge, and it really is quite different. We didn't want to call it a youth club. The youth council said, we think we're going to lounge there, therefore we'll call it the lounge. It's a community interest company cafe that also does projects that are in the arts, acting, singing, those kinds of things. And what they've done is they've curtained off the back of the cafe, and that is only for young people between the ages of 11 and 18, 4 till 6 on a Thursday evening. They're greeted by somebody, a qualified youth worker. They offer them a hot chocolate, a hot drink, and some sort of a snack. And they are then left to their own devices. Whether if they want to do anything, then the youth worker will provide it. And if it's, I don't know, for argument's sake, ping pong, and they don't have that there, they will arrange for them to have it the next week. We've had a number of people go on to do join acting groups, join singing groups, and more importantly, you know, of the 170 young people that went through the cafe in the last 6 months, most of them have just been with their friends or doing homework. There are a couple of young people who are from very large families, and the lounge is the only place they can find that's quiet to do the homework. So it's also informed what we do in other with other youth projects, and they will help us with ideas of what they want us to do next. And we use the youth counsellors to sort of do the secret shopper and let us know how it's going. And it seems to have been getting better and better. And what we have had a slight problem is with there are some organisations locally that think that they are okay to just go in because it's a youth club in their eyes, and they're okay to go in and ask them questions about what they want to do. And yeah, they got very short shrift. And when they came to me and I said, well, you need to ask them first, they did ask them, and they were refused permission to go in. But that's fine. That's absolutely fine. It's just some of the adults didn't quite get that. We took the idea to set up a lunch club. I think a lot of councils got money from their local councils, the primary councils, to set up warm hubs. We really didn't think a warm hub was going to be inclusive and engaging for anybody. So we used the funds to make a lunch club. So a light hot meal, soup and a roll, jacket potato and toppings, that kind of thing. Hot and cold drinks, biscuits, cake, and fruit. We used the money we got to pay for that, so it's free to all. And it was in another context that we discovered that health and housing and various other agencies regularly drop in at the lunch club because it's how they can get to see the people they need to see. For the people that are at the lunch club, they've asked for bingo, they've asked for board games, they've asked for newspapers, and that's been provided. I think the good thing about it is that there is no pressure and there's no judgment in terms of they have set up a not a food bank, but basically a table with food, and just occasionally somebody will come and clear the table. And people are a bit surprised, but that's fine, and nothing is said, and off they go. We had 2 or 3 people coming initially, and now it's well over 20. The volunteers have expanded, and we're looking at, because it's become sustainable, at making it happen in another area as well. There are things that we've done. We got the Alina band, which is a band in a van, part of a local orchestra, and they came and did a session at the lunch club, at the library, and in Stacey Bush's and various other places. And although the attendance was quite small, it was interesting in Stacey Bush's in particular. We had 5 quite large Asian families all came to listen to classical music effectively. It was really illuminating. We needed to work out where the money comes from, and it comes from kind of everywhere. It can come from our budget. It comes from larger city council grants that they give us. We apply to small charities. We apply to larger charities. What you may find actually is that when you apply to the larger charities, they will say, we have given money to the smaller charity to give money to you. So that it all gets a bit complicated. Local businesses help us a great deal with either financial grants or with their own products and services. So, John Lewis have given us a dishwasher, that kind of thing. And sometimes the local community fundraise also. But you will be able to find the money to do these things. It does. If you look, you can find it. So the example we give here is our gymnastics. So it's 45-minute session every week for 10 young people, £63 a week, £50 for the qualified coach, and £13 for our venue hire. It's our venue, but we cost in the venue hire. We needed equipment because obviously the charity that provides the gymnastic trainer has their own gym, and that's not in our area. So we needed to provide equipment. We got a small grant. It was our local ward councillor had some money that he could offer to a charity, and he offered the gymnastic mats. And we applied to the LEAP charity, which is a small sports charity, for a grant for hosting the sessions. And out of our budget, nothing. So we have paid nothing, but we have provided 10 young people for the last 2 years gymnastic sessions that they might otherwise not be able to get. It is about partnerships, and we have partnerships with lots of people. I mean, our key partner really is Milton Keynes City Council. They have a youth forum networking meeting, which happens once every quarter, I think. And if you go to that, you get such a lot of information and support and ideas, certainly around funding. It's really useful. ACE Adult Continuing Education, they've agreed to come to our lunchtime club and our tea time club and provide not classes, but they are going to sit there with a cup of tea and be available to help people fill out forms, work out benefits. So maths and English, but as it's practical for them. The free books from the National Literacy Trust, absolutely amazing. 1,000 books, brand new books on our doorstep at the end of the summer term. The mayor went to every primary school and junior school, and every child got a book. The children were convinced they needed to bring the book back in September. They were astonished when they didn't have to. And a significant number of those children have no other book at home. So a really quick win. National Literacy Trust send you the books. All you need to do is, well, we got our caretakers to ferry the books over to the schools, and the mayor gave them out. And you know, that was a really quick win. We also build relationships with the schools. We have civic services at Christmas and in the summer, and those are at the local C of E church, and the schools are thrilled to be able to bring their choirs and their young people to read poems and such. Now, the first time we did that, most parents dropped their children and disappeared, but we've started to have parents stay because they want to see their children perform. And the schools are finding that they can then connect with the parents better. So, you know, it's small wins. But little things can make a big difference, and they don't need to cost a lot of money. I'm sure we haven't got the silver bullet. There's still a lot that we need to do. We're working with the Music Hub, which is the old music service from Milton Keynes City Council, to see if we can get some free music tuition for children. We've already managed to get the local community interest company nursery that's based in one of our buildings. They are getting all their staff trained in Kodai music for young people for under fives, which is a start, but we'll see what else we can do. I mean, we're not going to have the Simon Bolivar Orchestra, but you know, we'll see what we can do. And that's about raising expectations in terms of children and their maths capability, because maths and music have a synergy. We haven't left out the older people, but the older people have a lot of facilities already in the voluntary sector in our area, but we're looking to see what else we can do. And that's us, basically. Thank you. And I think John's going to play the video.
Welcome to Wolverton. If food's your thing, you sport of choice.
We've got Tapas Bar and Restaurant.
Fancy a drink? The MK Beer Garden. Welcome to our high street.
And then the time, why don't you grab a coffee from Greenleys?
Loves hobbies.
Established in 1927.
People come from all over the world to visit this shop. See you soon. Pakistani and Afghani cuisine. Seafood. Lebanese.
You're gonna love it so much, you're gonna want to move there.
Turkish. Clean up your pups.
Geek's your thing.
Profit arts.
Best place for gifts and cards.
Mrs. D's the place to be. South African. Tea and toast.
Fries, fish and chips.
Welcome to the square.
Place for coffee.
A place to lounge.
Fun dance barbers.
Welcome to Hello Gorgeous. Herring Square. Nepalese. Why not visit our pop-up shop?